Good morning, folks, and welcome to Swing Trading Today. I'm going to begin the commentary off with a request that you please follow me if you watch this on YouTube. Leave a comment. Follow me on any social media platform. And if you want best stock charts for the coming week and a few trade tutorials, leave your email address on the website. We hate spam too. Let's talk about what else we're going to go over this morning. I'm going to talk about a few of the top headlines that caught my eye on Zero Hedge. I will issue a warning in advance. I will talk about political correctness and the impact on the markets, on society, and most importantly, on the confidence that will eventually erode this market. So if you're a millennial and you're hypersensitive to rational conversation with regard to political beliefs that aren't your own, click off now. Just if you're open-minded, please leave a comment. Let's debate. Let's have a conversation, a civil conversation, because civility is becoming a commodity, a rare commodity nowadays, and it's becoming quite scary. Then we're going to segue into the stocks that we're watching, as well as some member stock chart requests, and then we'll talk about the pre-market activity. A lot to get to. Let's get to it. All right, so overnight, an article came out on Zero Hedge. Germany calls for global payment system independent of U.S. This is supposed to be our ally. No, they're not our ally. The EU is not our ally. As long as we underwrite their military spending, we're their ally. As long as we allow them to dump goods on the U.S. market, we're their ally. Now that we're changing a dynamic that's been around since the end of World War II, all of a sudden they're too good for us. And the EU as a whole is just a bully state. A bunch of unelected thugs in Brussels dictating the laws of countries they do not live in with a cumulative population greater than the United States. So why am I talking about this? I have been talking about the undermining of the US dollar for years now. I began heavily last March with the petro-yuan. That's an effort by the Chinese to undermine the petrodollar. The Germans, why do they want to get away from the US dollar? It's because they want to do business with gangster states like Turkey and Iran. Let's segue over into yesterday's news announcement about Paul Manafort, who was found guilty on 8 out of 18 charges, nothing to do with Russia, all to do with taxes, well before the 2016 election. You also had Michael Cohen cop a plea to campaign finance charges by an unnamed source, but a political candidate. One might assume it must be the president, with hush money being paid out to Stormy Daniels and I believe somebody else. But I don't know of any Russians yet. Has anybody found a Russian that Mueller was charged with finding conspiracy with the campaign of Donald Trump and the Russians? Has anybody found a Russian yet? The only Russians I see are the ones that Hillary Clinton did business with. I digress. To the next article. Facebook bans activist mommy Elizabeth Johnston, I never heard of this lady, as the purge of conservative accelerates. Now, I was going to ignore this until I saw that she has 600,000 followers. Think about that. Now, this comes on the heels of the Alex Jones banning only a couple of weeks ago. I've said it in the past, and I'll say it again. These companies, Facebook, Google, Twitter, are slicing their own throats. And all you need to do is take a look at the charts. Weekly chart Facebook, all-time high, $218.62. We're down. We closed yesterday out, 172.62. And you may be saying, Bob, it's because of their earnings. What don't you get? Yeah, well, why was their earnings impacted? Their goal the prior quarter, after Zuckerberg got ripped in Congress, was to hire 10,000 more censors. How much do you think that cost? And you're seeing it reflected in their share price. Confidence is being eroded in these names. I wouldn't buy these shares. Google, daily chart, lower highs, now breaking down to new lower lows. What am I talking about? Let's throw some lines up. All-time high, 1,291.44. New lower high, 1,271.96. We made a low back on July the 31st of 1216.19. We made a low on the 17th at 1204.00 on an intraday basis. So that's a new lower low. If we close down below the 116.19 level, it's a confirmed breakdown on Google. I can't wait to see how many dislikes I get for this video. This is going to be interesting. Twitter, who's Jack Dorsey, who admits on TV, on the news, if you want to call CNN news, I believe he was on CNN, admits that Twitter is left-leaning. Why would you admit that? Half the country is center-right. Why would you admit that? Am I going to invest in a company that is dumb enough to censor their own users in the name of protecting other people? And then he goes on TV and admits that he's left-leaning. The arrogance and the hubris causes me to say, avoid Twitter like the plague. Expect it to get weaker because they are slicing their own throats. Am I saying that Twitter's going out of business? No, they'll be around, but so is MySpace. All this is doing is opening up new opportunities for competition. Capitalism at work. You have to love it. Let's move on to the SOXS. We booked profits here on the 20th on this topping action, which implied that we had sellers above. Now we're looking to buy the SOXS back. The SOXS puts you short of the semiconductor names. We'll talk more about the pre-market activity in a moment and how the NASDAQ is setting up. But the SOXS is at current holding the 50-day moving average. I'd like to get a further pullback and then a reversal day, much as what you saw here on the 24th or here on the 14th of August. Canada Goose Holdings, we were long. We booked profits. We have a double top here and a breakdown. I would avoid these shares. When would I look to buy them back? If we manage to recapture the $56 per share level, until that point in time, I think that the path of least resistance is to the downside until we fill this gap here at the 46 level. Amazon. Now, Amazon, I have been saying, is probably going to 2,000. I still stand by that. We've been as high as recently as 1925. I think we're going to press higher, unless, of course, the markets roll over here. But after putting in a new all-time high yesterday on the S&P 500, I think that today's weakness in the futures is short-lived. Netflix, I've been bearish on Netflix. Let's go to a daily chart. Here's where they reported earnings. I wanted to short into a rally or a filling of the gap here. That never occurred, so we never got the opportunity to short Netflix. We're seeing a dead cat bounce now. This is another company that has invested in a lot of left-leaning shows. Chelsea Handler, who on her prior TV show, loved her. Loved her. Yes, she had a bit of left-leaning material, but her new show on Netflix, whatever that was called, was just horrible. It was just pure propaganda. It was terrible. Lisa Wolf, the lady, a comedian or whatever she was, who bashed the president's press secretary, Sanders, at a roast a few weeks ago, her show was just canceled. So they're making a lot of bad investments at Netflix, and competition is on the rise, particularly out of Amazon. And that's what I've always been concerned about. I will say this, though. Cocaine Coast, which is a Netflix show, very, very good. I just finished watching it last night. Very, very good. 10 episodes, I believe. Toll Brothers reported earnings yesterday. They rallied strong. Watch for a pullback here, a higher low. We're going to be looking to get involved with the home builders. Yields are fairly priced. Now, the problem here is that you're missing a generation, and I mean by the millennials who are mired in debt due to carrying student loans. And you may be saying, they're not going to buy a new home, Bob. Well, sure. Well, you need demand to take people who have already purchased their initial home to provide liquidity and a rising market for and a rising price to be able to sell that property, flip out of it, and buy a new home. But the government and the universities have joined together as a bunch of gangsters dead set on providing a crap education for a ridiculous price. We move on. OCLR weekly chart. Love the chart here. We've been watching this setup for a while. All right, so we, on a weekly chart, have a breakout in RSI. We have rising Stokes, higher lows, and now higher highs this week. We are inside of a triangle formation. We have a new weekly high. And if we break out, we'll be doing so out of a sound double bottom or a W base. So what we're looking for here is a rally up and through this upper band of resistance. And we may be putting on a small trade even prior to the breakout. I love this chart. Volume could be a bit better. But OCLR looking really, really good on a weekly basis. So members, more to come here. Palo Alto Networks, daily chart, higher lows, but no higher highs yet. We're looking for a breakout here on Palo Alto. Stokes are rising, no breakout yet on RSI. Down volume, very light, which is what you want to see. It's okay if you're in a trading range and you close down. Good stuff. You just don't want to break support, and you don't want that down volume to be high. So we're consolidating right now. PANW looking good. GRUB, love the company. Weekly chart, we have a new weekly high. We have Stokes, which are pressing higher along with RSI. Daily chart. Now, we rallied on the 21st, a follow-through rally yesterday, but that rally was rebuffed. We sold off the highs of the day. And you saw that across the board in the market. So I'm a bit cautious here on a daily basis with GRUB. Longer term, though, if the market holds up, I think GRUB will continue to be a leader. They had powerful earnings, but a bit of caution here. Members, when we do decide to execute a trade here, yet again, we book profits back here. If we do decide to execute a trade, I will be sending out an alert to members only. Last chart up, Kansas City Southern. Now, this stock here, we had pulled back, did a nasty retest of support the week of August the 13th. It was successful. It held. This week, we are now breaking out, along with the transports. Now, when you see the Dow transports breaking out, one must assume there is a demand for goods. That means that the economy is somewhat vibrant. So it is a tell. So we'll be watching for KSU to possibly sell off this morning. We'll look for a recovery, a new weekly high, and we may be executing a trade on KSU. Now let's segue over into the pre-market activity. All right, we're going to kick things off today with the U.S. dollar. The dollar has been nothing short of absolutely butt ugly the past few days. And we are now sitting this morning with a 94 handle on the Dixie. We haven't seen that since back here on the 8th of August. So we're retracing this entire move higher. If we break down below this low here at 94.99, which is currently where we're trading at, that will be a significant breakdown on the U.S. dollar. Now, what will do well? Gold. Gold is up $6.10 on the morning. We are now back to the, I think it was last Tuesday. Yeah, turnaround Tuesday, swing trading today, commentary I did, swing trading today. We are now back to where we were, where I spoke about this dead cat bounce here, and I didn't believe it would hold, and it didn't hold back on, I believe it was the 13th or the 14th. It was called Turnaround Tuesday. Swing trading today, Turnaround Tuesday, if you want to go check that out. I'll see if I can link to it at the back of this video. But you're seeing gold rise this morning, no shock. Why is the dollar weak and gold rallying? It doesn't help that you're trying to, and this is not politics, folks. It's a fact. It's observation of fact. If you're a millennial and you get upset by the fact that somebody's saying something that offends you, leave a negative comment. Give me a dislike. It's all good. At least have some civil discourse. Because what you're witnessing right now is the attempted unseating of an American president unseen ever before in history. You have our allies, which I just went over, attempting to now de-dollarize. You've only seen the Chinese, the Russians, the Iranians try to do that, the Turks. Now it's our so-called quote-unquote allies. Oh, and by the way, on the same video I just referenced, Turnaround Tuesday last week, I mentioned that CNN had posted a false video stating that the Russians had dumped all of their treasuries. It was inaccurate. It was 45%. What did they do with that cash? They bought gold. So RSI here looking rock solid. Very strong uptrend here. So we have now retraced this entire move. And during this sell-off, we were buying the gold stocks. NUGT in particular. Let's see what the price action is in the pre-market. We're up a bit this morning, but we're nowhere near recapturing last week's highs. So a lot of room to go here. Let's check out the GDX. It's up as well in the pre-market. Let's move on. Bitcoin, it surged overnight. We're pulling back a bit, but it looks as though that Bitcoin has finally caught a bid. It's been consolidating. Okay, so we may get a pullback here to retest this breakout point. We are seeing higher lows on Bitcoin. RSI is looking really, really good in that we are putting in higher lows and higher highs. Good stuff. So Bitcoin looking good. Now, to the stock market futures, the pre-market activity is not looking good. We are down 20 points on the Dow. That doesn't seem like much, right? We are off the lows of the session. But I hate this dead cat bounce. I hate it. All right, so we're limping back up within this trading range. So what would be the game plan here? I think that there's a good chance that we recover and close higher. I'm not loving this rebound off the lows because you're seeing topping action on each of these bars. But the S&P 500 did break out to new all-time highs yesterday. That cannot be ignored. So I would encourage people not to react to the morning's price action. Let's see how the day plays out. The S&P 500, again, here's more of this limping action. Off the lows of the session, yes, but we're limping back up here. Topping tails, wicks, shadows. All it means, if you need the definition of what these candlesticks mean, when you see a shadow, a wick, call it cupcakes. It doesn't matter. It means that you have sellers above, profit takers above. They're worried. Let's check out the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is also limping up higher, off the lows of the session. We're watching topping action. RSI, which did break down overnight, has recaptured support. I think that the odds are better than 50-50 that this market continues higher. Again, given that the S&P did close at new all-time highs yesterday. Now, we do have the Fed minutes coming out today from last month. That could be a market mover. We also have Jay Powell speaking at the Jackson Hole, Wyoming meeting on Friday. And all ears will be on Wyoming. And that is it for this morning, folks. Again, please follow me on Facebook. Leave a comment, even if you disagree. Make it professional, and I'll respond to you. I know I spoke a lot about politics and headline news today, but it matters. It really matters to the market. Confidence is key. Have a profitable trading day, and I will talk to you soon. Be well.